And welcome in, everybody. Brad Logan here on the Talk of Champions. Ben Garrett will be here shortly. We're also joined by, we'll be joined by Justin Hockanson of AuburnSports.com. That's an affiliate of On3. It's exciting to be back with you today here on the Talk of Champions. We are on the road again today as everybody is getting excited about Nashville. I was talking with some people last night, many of whom watch us here on the Talk of Champions, and could not be more excited about what's to come in Nashville. The AP poll dropped, and let's just say there are a number of people that do not have very much faith in Ole Miss. Now, I will say this too. You look at last year's AP vote, and a lot of people did not have the Rebels where they would finish. Many people have Ole Miss, and I'm not even going to give them the time of day. 17, 11, 18. One has them 8, and one has them 13th. That's just a handful of people. That'll come out soon enough when our friends from College Football Reddit put out where everybody is. But look, I mean, this is just very simple. I mean, Andy Staples, we had Andy on the show. It's logo bias. We get it. And not to mention, this schedule for Ole Miss is very difficult. I had Tom Fornelli of CBS. I will say this. He is not buying Ole Miss at 7.5 or 8.5. I forget what it was. I think it was under or something. I don't know. And then we had JD Piquet from On3. He is selling Ole Miss. I think where Ole Miss finished, in which I think Ole Miss is finished 9th. Someone might, I'm not finished, but Ole Miss is 9th, I believe, is what Ole Miss is picking the AP poll. So, by the way, the Tad Smith Coliseum is coming down. There were pictures that have been floated around, and looks like that the Tad Smith Coliseum is coming down. So it's kind of sad. You know what I mean? You see what all had happened inside Tad Smith Coliseum, and to see it come down, I think is sad in a lot of ways. So 9th in the AP poll. So thank you very much for pointing that out to the person that just texted me. So disrespect, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what – if you're not picking Ole Miss in the top 10 this year, when are you going to do it? Because you look at where Ole Miss is and where they finished, and, I mean, this is a year in which Ole Miss has kind of everybody back. The staff is in place. Everything is kind of set up for Ole Miss this year. For some conversations that I've had about Ole Miss and about how practice is going, you can read all about it on the Ole Miss Spirit. It's right there on that link. Chuck Rounsville has a pretty detailed practice report. I say it's detailed. It's as detailed as anybody has right now because of how tight-lipped everything is. Everything is incredibly tight-lipped with where everything is right now on campus because very limited availability to see any type of practice. But Chuck has talked about, Ben talked about, and we'll get with Ben here in just a little bit, about the wide receiver room and about how Samari Reed has kind of stepped up. I think a lot of people are looking at Terez Davis at left tackle. A lot of eyes are going to be on Terez Davis in a couple of weeks in Nashville. A lot of eyes are going to be on that offensive line. Right tackle position. Is it going to be Tommy Kinsler? Is it going to be Carius Kern? Is it going to be Enoch Wangoy? So that's something we're all going to be looking for when the Rebels kick it off. We've had a lot of team previews. We had Hunt Palmer previewing LSU. We've got so many to come with Vanderbilt, with Florida, we've got Justin, of course, coming up with Auburn. We have another one coming up later on the week. Oklahoma will be coming up later on the week. So we've got a ton of previews coming. We want to get everybody. We've already previewed Louisville twice. We've already previewed Charlotte. We want to get as many previews as we can, or we'll get all of them previewed before Ole Miss kicks off. So we'll have, obviously, Mississippi State coming, Georgia coming, Texas. We did preview Texas with Tyler Horka, who was great last week. So we've got a lot of previews coming. We'll get all the teams previewed. We're going to go ahead and get to Justin Hockanson here in just a moment and preview the Auburn Tigers. Before we do, we want to say thank you to all of you for following along, for being with us through thick and through thin. It's been a crazy ride over the last year or so, and we're so excited to get things kicked off. We'll be a year for the first home game for the game against Charlotte. Ben and I at the Talk of Champions will be a year. It started with the drive home, and it's just kind of evolved, and so now we're so excited. We've got some sponsorships that we're so excited to announce. We'll have that for you very soon. And for everybody that is asking in the chat about the pregame show, we will have the pregame show for you coming for you the Charlotte game. We will let you know whenever we can where the location will be so you can come by and say hello in the city of Oxford. So we're so excited about announcing that. The postgame show will be just like it is always. We are tinkering with possibly coming to you immediately after the game rather than wait until after the postgame press conference. We will let you know. We do think we're going to come to you at the end of the game. We're working through some of that. So just stay locked into the Talk of Champions feed. We've got a couple things coming to you. Super chats are available on our YouTube channel. The second thing we're doing, we're beginning memberships. So if you want to have a monthly membership, there'll be 2 tiers. They're $4.99 a month, and they're $9.99 a month. Obviously, you can help us out by being a member of the Talk of Champions, but also there'll be some perks involved with that. You can read all about that at youtube.com/talkofchampionsOM, and you can be a part of all of us here at the Talk of Champions. At the end of the day, we are excited about the season. We're excited about bringing you everything that is Ole Miss athletics, and that is Ole Miss football. The next media availability we'll get will be later on this week. We'll get Ole Miss defensive coordinator Brian Brown, and then we'll finally get one more practice viewing next week before the following couple of weeks as kickoff is right around the corner. We cannot wait here on the Talk of Champions. Until then, we want to get Justin Hockanson's thought on the Auburn Tigers as Justin will join us here in just a moment. Before we do, we're going to hear from some of our sponsors. If you'd like to be a sponsor on the show, we'd love to have you. There are a couple of ways that you can do that. You can shoot us a direct message on X, and we would love to have you be a part of us here on the Talk of Champions. As you can always shoot me an email at brad.logan@loganmedianetwork.com, or you can shoot Ben a direct message on Twitter/X @SpiritBen. You can always catch us on the Talk of Champions and the Ole Miss Spirit. That's, of course, an affiliate of On3 Sports. That's omspirit.com. Right now, there are a couple of threads about practice. And if you're wondering what Chuck's thinking, he's on the message board right now at omspirit.com. He'll be right here on the Talk of Champions on Thursday. So we'll get Chuck's thoughts on practice, on what's going on campus, inside the Manning Center, on the practice field to the best of his ability, his ears to the ground, and we'll have Chuck Rounsville here on the Talk of Champions. We'll also have George Plaster. George will join us and we'll talk about the Vanderbilt Commodores, what Ole Miss to expect later on this year when they travel to face the Commodores. We'll also have George Stoya. George does incredible work for the Oklahoma On 3 site. We'll have George join us later on the week to preview the Oklahoma Sooners, and then Ben Garrett to be with us here shortly. Until then, let's hear from some of our sponsors. We're going to come back and we'll talk with, of course, Justin Hockanson from Auburn Sports right after this here on the Talk of Champions.
Homes and businesses from the whims of nature. You need more than just quality materials. You require Riverland Roofing. Licensed, certified. Riverland Roofing offers not only the assurance of excellence, but a tailored approach to your unique structural needs and budget. To learn more about what Riverland Roofing can do for you and the community, call them at 662-644-4297 or visit riverlandroofing.com.
Hey, Rebels, your truck is here. Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Oxford presents the all-new Ram. It's Ram, the Rebel way. Send an unmistakable signal. Rebel 24/7. Ram Rebel from your friend in the car business. Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Oxford.
Come by, let's be friends.
Tell my kids, you do your part, mine. That's teamwork. It's the same thing I tell my clients. It's their job to get well. It's my job to get them the most money possible to do just that. I want you to get back to enjoying the life we all love here in North Mississippi. If you're hurt in a traffic accident, an 18-wheeler wreck, or have insurance trouble, call 601-720-3541. That's my cell. If you call, I'll answer.
Make your first call to the Hearn Law Firm.
One team, one mission, introducing one plan that changes the rules. The One Plan, fiber and wireless for $99 a month. One plan, one price, zero compromises, guaranteed. The One Plan for everyone, only from C-Spire, customer inspired.
Life is made up of moments. We care about those moments as much as you do. We are Modern Woodmen, a fraternal financial services. Member owned, not stockholder run. Since 1883, we've supported families, strengthened communities, and helped people reach their financial goals. From protection to saving to retirement planning, let us help you plan for those special moments in your life. We are Modern Woodmen of America.
Welcome in to the Talk of Champions. Justin Hockanson of AuburnSports.com, that's an affiliate of On3, joins us here to preview the Auburn Tigers. And Justin, fall camp, or let me rephrase, preseason camp, it's nothing about fall here in Mississippi. I know there's nothing about fall there in Auburn as well. Under, wide open right now, your early thoughts on this upcoming season.
Oh man, I don't know. It's going to be interesting with this Auburn team. I mean, in general, I don't think they have the talent that they did last year. So I mean, there's a lot of good players that left and went to the portal. I mean, you can say what you want. Hugh Freeze and that staff, they did bring in some talent. Overall talent wasn't really the issue. Doesn't mean they can't have a better season or win more games, though, because what we saw under the previous regime, mainly Hugh Freeze, was just inconsistency in how they prepared, inconsistency in how they played, making plays in the second half, making plays in the fourth quarter. Like at all the critical moments and the crucial times, they folded and they made losing plays. And that's I think that's how you go like 3-13 and games that are 10 points or less the last couple of years. They basically lost them all. So that's going to be, to me, the key with this team, among other things, is figuring out a way. They're going to be in some close games. They're going to be in some of these games. How do you figure out a way to win late? I don't know. We're a week into fall camp. I'm still looking at the offensive line is the biggest question mark on offense, and I'm still looking at cornerbacks as the biggest question on defense for me. The O-line is completely rebuilt. You bring in 2 guys from USF, and then the other 3 starters are likely transfer guys. I don't know what that group's going to look like yet. And they've got to be obviously really good. They're going to want to run the ball with Byron Brown and Jeremiah Cobb. Like, you've got some ability there, but what that group looks like and what those tackles look like on the edge, the ability to protect the edge, I don't know. I'm not sure yet. If they could do their job, I think with the offense and Byron Brown's knowledge of the offense and his ability, you bring in some receivers from USF. I think there's some ability there, but what that group does is a big question mark. And then defensively, there's a lot of trust in DJ Durkin. I think I just look at cornerback. They lost Kay and Lee went to the portal. Jay Crawford went to the portal. And so I look at corner. It's just a little unknown. I think there's some athletic ability there. I think they're trying to figure out who's corner 1, who's corner 2. Like, can these guys hold up on an island? Andre Jordan from UCLA. Gavin Jenkins comes over from USF. Rayshawn Pleasant comes back. Now he's going to be asked to do a lot more. So that's probably where I'm looking at on defense is, like, can cornerback get figured out? Because I feel like the other positions, they'll have the right players in the right position. So those are kind of the 2 things on either side when I think about this Auburn team. I mean, I think, look, like I mentioned, last year, every loss was 1 score. I mean, you go look at their schedule last year. Like, look at the games. It was like lost by a touchdown, lost by a touchdown, lost by a touchdown. I mean, they were right there. They didn't have the offense, and they didn't have the ability to win those games in the fourth quarter. So that'll be the big thing this year is, like, do they close the gap on one of those? Are they close against Florida and they get over the hump, or can they pull off an upset against LSU at home or something like that? Those will be big signs, I think, when you're trying to figure out Alex Golesh, the program, what it's going to look like. Can you get over the hump in some of those close games?
Yeah, you just mentioned my next question. Alex Golesh, how's the transition been? And I don't know if he's polar opposite than Hugh Freeze, but what are some differences that you've seen between Golesh and Freeze?
Yeah, I would say polar opposite. It's just, if you're not here, if you weren't around Hugh Freeze, not just around practice, but like, I live here, and I talk to people. I know things that went on, and I know how Hugh Freeze operated, and I see just early of Alex Golesh, and I talk to people that know him and how he operates, and I talk to people at Auburn about the interview process, and they just couldn't be more opposite when it comes to attention to detail, like living in the weeds of everything, the true process of it all. Like, Alex Golesh is in the middle of everything. He wants to know everything, not necessarily because he's micromanaging. He'll let guys make decisions, but he wants to know everything that's going on because he wants all of the information. He wants all the context. He thinks that helps him make his decisions. And it's just football for him. There's no hunting. There's no fishing. Damn sure no golf. It's just football. And that wasn't the case with Hugh Freeze. And so it was one of my biggest issues with Hugh Freeze was early on. I just was hearing too many things about just how he was operating, not just like offense and practice and meeting and missing some quarterback meetings. And there was just an inconsistency about how Hugh Freeze operated. And you just could see that it was going to leak into the program and it was going to leak into how they performed. And it did. Alex Golesh is a different guy. What does that mean? What's the degree? Like, what does that mean in terms of wins? I don't know yet. I mean, this is year 1. He hadn't even have a chance to really build a roster that looks like what he wants yet. I just know that the kind of guy he is and the attention to detail he is and sort of being all about the process, I think he's genuine in that. Like, I don't think he's pretending. I don't think he's a fraud when he's like, this is how we're going to – I don't think he lives it. And I really believe that. Didn't always think that with Hugh. So I think he's going to present and create an environment for winning at Auburn. It's just, can you get the talent? Can you get it right at quarterback? And can you go out there and win close games? Like, all of those other variables that you have to go do. But early on, it's hard to find anything that I could point out so far that I would be like, he should have said this different, or he should have done this differently. They're recruiting well. I haven't heard any negative things from boosters. In fact, I hear like he's engaging with them, but he's not buddying them. He's like, this is how we're going to do it. I'm very confident in what I'm doing. So, so far, I don't know that he could have done anything all that different so far with the program and how he's dealing with people.
Is there officially a number of transfers that came from South Florida, and how many was it?
It was 12, 13. I can't remember the number.
Yeah.
Somewhere it was like I think it was 12 or 13. Could have been 11, something like that. It was
fairly significant numbers.
And mostly on
players
offense.
that had significant snaps, I should say.
Yeah, you're looking at. I mean, Byron Brown's going to start. Cole Skinner is probably going to start at guard. Cole Best is probably going to start at center. Keyshawn Singleton, and then at receiver you got Keyshawn Singleton, Chaz Nimrod, Jeremiah Koger, Christian Neptune, Corey Pettigrew. A lot of those guys will play. Nakai Davenport's a young running back who's not going to be one or two, but he's just a freshman. Jonathan Eccles at tight end comes over. He's in the mix there. And then you got a couple of guys on defense, Gavin Jenkins at corner, Fred Gaskin at safety. So I don't know what I'm up to, but some of those offensive guys are going to start. Yeah. I mean, you're looking at a lot of the receivers are going to play. And then of course, Byram, the 2-0 linemen are going to play as well. So offense is where you're going to probably see the most impact from those guys. And then I do think Gavin Jenkins is a pretty good player and he'll play a good bit at corner and Fred Gaskin a little bit at safety, but Gavin Jenkins is probably more in line. Defense, they lost guys, but there's guys that stayed on defense. Xavier Atkins, Elijah Melendez, Jared Smith, like Eric Winters. There's some good players that stayed because DJ Durkin stayed. But yeah, most of the impact will be felt on offense with some of those USF transfers.
The one position that all of us kind of watching from afar with Hugh Freeze as head coach, just because of the history there with Ole Miss, was Hugh never really got the quarterback to get the job done. It felt like, you mentioned a little bit ago, I just want to briefly talk about these games last year. Oklahoma lost 24-17, at A&M 16-10, Georgia 20-10, Missouri 23-17. It just goes on. Vanderbilt 45-38, and then Alabama 27-20. Just right there, literally just right there. And I feel like if Auburn had a quarterback that they could have depended on, is Byron Brown that guy that they can depend on, in your opinion?
I think so. I mean, I think the big question mark with him, to me, is just transitioning into the SEC because he was at South Florida for a number of years. So he's familiar with Alex Golesh, Joel Gordon, the offense. Like there's familiarity there. He knows what he's doing. And you look at last year, I mean, you're only talking about 11, 12 quarterbacks ever to go 3,000 passing, 1,000 rushing in the same season. That's what he did last year. 3,000 plus, 1,000 plus. And so you're just really, to me, he knows the offense. He knows what the expectations are. What's it look like in the SEC? Can he run like that in the SEC? Can he throw like that in the SEC? Like it's going to be different. We know that from the American Conference. So like, that's the question with him. He's in the number one thing I heard, like from way back, even before he like officially, like early on when we knew Byron Brown was likely going to enter the portal and coming, and speaking with people that were on the staff that came over, were like, yeah, he's talented, but it's his leadership. Like, wait till you see him as a leader, and then everything we've seen in practice, everything we hear from the coaches. But you can go out there and practice and watch his persona. He's got all that. He's got the variables. He's got the it factor. He's a smiling, confident guy. Like, so he's got everything you want in a quarterback. He's a load to deal with when it comes to running. It's just, the long throwing motion he has. As long as he knows how to work with it, fine. How does that work in the SEC? Can he constantly evade rush and find those running lanes and run the football? Can he handle the pounding if they want to run him 15 times? That kind of stuff, which I think he can. He's a big, strong kid. Like he's low to tackle. I think just passing the football, just maybe the speed of the game's a little bit more. I mean, I know people point to the Florida game, and they did go to the Swamp and win 100%. Low scoring game. I mean, it wasn't like USF went to the Swamp and scored 38, but they did win. So that's to me the question. Is just transitioning into the league, into the SEC. What does he look like? And he might go out there and do exactly what he did last year. It might not even matter. He's just a stud, or it might look a little different. We'll see. But he's got everything else. He's got everything else you'd want, like a good fit in the system, knowing what to do and being a leader. He's got all that. Like of the quarterbacks in the league, it's hard to find one that has a better chance to like skyrocket up if you ranked them the top 10 quarterbacks. It's hard to find one that has a better chance to skyrocket up. Lenore Sellers, obviously he's got all this ability, but there's a lot of proven SEC quarterbacks. And then Byram is just this guy with the production and the talent that you're going, what is it going to look like in the league? Because if he brings it over and he just he does his thing and he's just that kind of player, then it's going to be a big deal.
Is this Jeremiah Cobb's opportunity as a senior to be the leader in the running back room? And if it's not him, who do you foresee getting a lot of the carries for the Tigers?
Yeah, it'll be Jeremiah. I mean, it'll be him. I think he was, he was about 1,000 yards last year. He only had 5 touchdowns, which is just Hugh Freeze. They couldn't score in the red zone at all. Big part of why they lost those games. But yeah, it'll be his show. He's bulked up. He's over 200 pounds. He's still got the kind of speed that he had. So it'll be his show. And then you'll have sort of a battle for running back 2 on who that is. But really when you factor in Jeremiah Cobb, let's say he gets 17 carries a game. You factor in Byron Brown's going to get carries, whether it's designed runs or scrambles. He's going to carry the ball. Gosh, I would think he ends up with 12 on average, 12 carries a game. He might have 21 game. He might have 8, but he's going to have some. So you're going to have about 30 carries, I think, between Byron and Jeremiah. So then it's just filling the gap of running back 2, whether that's a youngster from here in Auburn, Omar Mabson, or whether that's the Baylor transfer, Bryson Washington, who missed the spring but is kind of coming on a little bit. That's a guy with a bunch of ability and he's played a bunch of football. If he could come on, you could have a good 1-2 punch with Jeremiah Cobb and Bryson Washington. But either way, Cobb's going to be running back 1. He'll get most of the carries because he can kind of do a little bit of everything. And then, of course, Byram is kind of running back 2. I mean, he's going to be a huge part of the running game as well. But it's going to be Cobb's load to carry, and we'll see if he can top that 1,000-yard mark.
Chaz Nimrod, the transfer from Tennessee, along with Jeremiah Coger and Keyshawn Singleton. Is that 3 targets that Brown's going to have? And if not those 3, who are some others that you're looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, those 3 you nailed. Nimrod's a guy we've written about, but I think he could be the best one. He was at Tennessee, then he transferred to USF. He played about the first 6-7 games last year, then got hurt. You talk to the coaches and just overall athletic ability, the way he carries himself, understanding the offense, like doing everything right, he might be the best receiver. And so Keyshawn Singleton and Coger both led USF in touchdowns last year. Singleton led him in yards, but Nimrod could easily end up being the best receiver on the Auburn roster. So I think between those 3, and Coger's a big guy. And they're all pretty physical. None of those guys are small. Coger's a really big guy. And then I think you'd look at freshman Deshaun Spencer from Mobile, who flipped from Duke. He's really talented. He's going to be a part of the mix. Probably those 4, I would say, are going to be the bulk of trying to get the job done. There's some other guys, Christian Neptune, who came from USF, Corey Pettigrew. They'll rotate guys, but the 3 you mentioned, I would toss in Deshaun Spencer, and I'd say those 4 are going to do the heavy lifting. But Chaz Nimrod's the one I would watch that, like, if you go back and look at USF stats from last year, you'll be like, why is he's not even the top 2 in yards or whatever, but he could be the most consistent receiver they had. Of course, they scrimmaged the first fall scrimmage. Singleton had, I think, 2 touchdowns. Like, the guy, that guy's going to make plays, but Nimrod's a guy to watch out for.
The offensive line is a position that you talked about. You were looking at a couple of positions. What gives you cause for concern with that offensive line this year?
The tackles. Stanton Ramil, they get out of the portal from Michigan State, who's got some ability. They battled some good teams for him, but he was injured. So, he didn't even participate in spring. He's even now kind of they're being careful with working him back in. He practiced. He went through their whole first fall camp scrimmage, which is good. But missing the spring due to injury and kind of making sure that they get him to game 1. It's just, you'd like a guy to be out there full speed, no limitations, learning that left tackle position in this offense. And then Joe Simmons, who came over from James Madison, is most likely the right tackle. I just don't exactly know what to expect from them yet. That's all. I mean, they might be good. They might step up to the plate and play well. I'm not sure yet. I haven't seen it yet. And the Ramel missing time and trying to ease him back in, it's not, I don't want to say concerning. When you hear a player coming off injury, they're like, we want to sort of make sure that we get him to game 1 and he's good to go. And There's a little bit of caution there. So the tackles is really, Cole Best comes over from USF at center. You got to feel like the center quarterback communication, that battery is going to be really good. Now we'll see how Cole Best and Cole Skinner right there in the middle translate into the SEC, but I think they'll be fine. Tackles where we'll see. Can you deal with the edges that you're going to see in the SEC? Now, Brown can escape things. I mean, in terms of protecting, he's gonna pick up the slack a little bit. If you let somebody go, he can make a run for it. But the tackles is where I'm not saying they're not going to be good, but I don't know exactly what you have there quite yet.
One of the best stories in college football that really nobody talks about, there was a special on the SEC Network, is about Alex McPherson, the kicker. Been through a lot, obviously, from a health standpoint, but a really good kicker and just a really good story there.
Yeah, he's a fantastic kicker. I mean, his journey is wild. I'm sure some people have. I was trying to pull his stats up real quick. I'm sure some people have maybe seen on the periphery like a little bit of his story. They did a game. I think it was last fall that Game Day did a deal with him. But a guy that was really good his sophomore year. 13 of 13 in 2023. And then all this stuff, he had to kind of basically a gastrointestinal issue that they could not figure out. I mean, he could not eat. He couldn't keep weight on. He couldn't maintain weight. And it's kind of scary how much weight he lost. And they thought they had it fixed. And then it wasn't fixed. And he underwent surgeries and basically missed all of 2024 and then fought his way back after, losing tons of weight, looking like skin and bones, and then fights his way all the way back. And he goes 20 of 23 last year. And now he looks like, seeing him in the complex, he looks finally like he's gaining good weight, muscle, keeping it on. He looks pretty good now. And he's a guy that he's got range from 60. He's a really, really excellent kicker, but it's kind of wild through all of his stuff that he still only missed 3 or 4 kicks in his entire career. So that's something that certainly they can lean on. And it's a really awesome story. I think he's an NFL kicker.
Looking at the defense, it feels like when I look at Auburn football, I think of Pat Dye running the football, Rudy Johnson, and defense. And in Auburn, defensively, under DJ Durkin, have taken a big step forward. And I'm with you. I think keeping Durkin under, obviously, Alex Golesh, who I'm very bullish on, is a really good coaching staff. Personnel-wise, do you think Durkin likes this defense, and what do you think he likes about it going into the season?
Yeah, I think he likes it. I mean, the good thing is, all these guys he recruited, a lot of them from high school. It's kind of funny. It's like all the offense is almost just portal. The offense. You look across the starters on the offense, it'll just be Jeremiah Cobb. That'd be the only guy that's not a transfer. Defense is going to be different. Xavier Atkins is back. Melendez is back, and Sylvester Reed and Champ Anthony and Eric Winters and Rayshawn Pleasant and Jared Smith and Dallas Walker, all of these dudes are coming back. So you start at linebacker. Xavier Atkins is a preseason All-American. Elijah Melendez was a super talented freshman last year that's going to start alongside of him. Those two are going to be really good. You're rebuilding the D-line a little bit. Malik Blockton went to LSU. You lost a couple guys there, but you still got some. Dallas Walker in the middle is a huge anchor. Jared Smith on the end could be fantastic. Deshaun Womack, him. He's got some ability. So defensive line, and I trust their defensive line coach, Vontrell King Williams, is a good coach. He'll get production out of that group. A lot of guys come back at safety, so that's why I just go to corner. I just think corner is a position where they replace some guys, and I just don't exactly know what you have there. Maybe they turn out to be super reliable and they're really good players, or maybe you're just kind of always rotating there and trying to find a true cornerback one. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, I think he's going to like what he's going to get out of there, because you've got linebackers that are going to call the defense and those guys, and that's Durkin coaches the linebackers, and he's got 2 really good ones. So you start there. He's got his D-line coach came back. That's the only assistant that came back with Vontrell anchoring the D-line. So I think he likes what he's got. And to me, it's the corners. If the corners if you figure that out and you feel like you got 3-4 good corners, I think it's going to be a really good, it's going to be a really good defense. They're top, since Durkin arrived, they're basically a top 25-ish unit in the country. And they're certainly stingy. I mean, they're the reason that a lot of these games were close, is because they hung in there and tried to allow the offense. I mean, that Georgia game was 13-10 in the fourth quarter, and they gave up. And then they just were worn out, and they couldn't get off the field late in the fourth quarter. And Georgia scored that touchdown to go up 20-10. But Mike, you go hold Georgia to 13, like, I mean, what else do you want? So stuff like that. So I think, and who knows about the defense? It could be encouraging to go out there and watch an offense potentially have the ability to score points, but just a little more belief that they will. I mean, it's probably hard the last few years to walk out there and go, I don't know, what faith do I have? No offense, but I don't know what the faith I have in Jackson Arnold or Peyton Thorne. Like, those are awesome guys. They just weren't good fits with what Auburn was trying to do. And I would have to think it helps the defense to feel like there's a little bit more faith in that other side of the ball if you do make a mistake, just to keep their energy level up a little bit.
Taking a look at the schedule and kind of finishing up here, you look at it, you open up with Baylor, Auburn does, and then I saw that it was released, I think today as we record, Southern Miss will be a night game, so that'll be a lot of fun, along with Florida and then Vanderbilt. Some opportunity there early with Tennessee on the road. What do you like about the schedule? And, what are you anticipating in the first game? I don't know what to expect out of Dave Aranda and Baylor. I really don't. I would love to see Auburn win that game. I know that's a big opportunity for Auburn, but the first couple of weeks, depending on what you get out of Florida and John Summerall, Vanderbilt's obviously down. I just learned that Vanderbilt still doesn't know who their starting quarterback is going to be. It's between Jared Curtis, the 5-star, and then whoever the other guy is. So some opportunity early there possibly for Auburn.
Yeah, the Baylor one's interesting. I mean, I don't know that they're, I don't remember what they finished last year, but I know they lost some talent. So it's like they're not better than they were last year. And Auburn went there and won. And I think Sawyer Robertson's is certainly a good quarterback. Lagway is a dude, but I don't know that Lagway is better than what you had with Sawyer Robertson necessarily. So I'm looking at this game in Atlanta. There's going to be 50,000 Auburn fans. You got to like Auburn's chances of winning that game. Baylor's not it's not like they've dramatically improved since last year. Auburn won that game by 14. They had a kickoff return. So, but yeah, I mean, that'll be an interesting one because at the same time, I mean, Auburn, new team, new coach, neutral site. You're not in your own home. I don't, do they come out with jitters? Do they come out, rolling, hitting on all cylinders? But I think the amount of fans that are going to be in that stadium from Auburn and Mercedes-Benz, that's going to be a big deal. Like the Florida game is the game. I mean, that's the game a lot of people point to for when it comes to Auburn's schedule, because October's insane. October is at Tennessee, bye week, at Georgia, LSU at home, at Ole Miss. I mean, Tennessee, Georgia, LSU, and Ole Miss on the road in October. 3 of those are on the road. Like, you could easily go over October. I think LSU and Ole Miss, they'll have a chance. Like, they'll be in those games. They'll be competitive. Even at Tennessee, Georgia's that's tough. But winning them is a different story. But the Florida one is just like the most evenly matched. Florida and Auburn are in very similar places, right? Like, they've had talent. They didn't do anything with it. They have new coaches that I think are both good coaches. And so they're just in similar places. That Florida game is going to basically be a pick 'em. And it's the SEC game 1 for Auburn. It's at home. I mean, I don't want to say you have to. Like, Auburn could lose that game, and then maybe it clicks later on, and they reel off and they upset LSU or something, and they upset Ole Miss. Like, who knows? But the Florida game looks like one where if you're Auburn and you want to get to 8-4, you go almost. I mean, that's going to be one you better get, because if you don't, then it doesn't necessarily bode well for like October. What I'm talking about now, you're at 5 losses. So the Florida game is just, I think, a hugely pivotal game for Auburn, not just because they need it in terms of talent. Equally talented teams are sort of in similar places, but it's game 1 in the SEC. You get that. Now you've got energy and momentum. You come back the very next week at home against Vanderbilt. You got to be feeling optimistic, some momentum. Maybe you turn that into 2-0 in the league. And now you're hitting October 4-0. Mississippi State will be a dangerous game. Arkansas is obviously supposed to struggle, so you think you handle that at home. But the Florida one's, I think, the one you got to have. If you lose that one, then you're going to have to upset Tennessee, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, Bama. You're going to have to pull a pretty decent little upset to try to get to 8-4. So that'll be it's not, but all in all, it's not a terrible schedule. Like as far as SEC schedules go, there are definitely more difficult ones. Like some of the stuff Hugh Freeze had to face, I'll give him that. Like we're brutal. This is a normal SEC schedule. It's not insane for Alex Golesh in year one. Like you could get to 8-4. You could get there with an upset. But if 7-5 is 6-6 it can't happen. 7-5 is not the end of the world. It's fine for year one. 8-4. If you're an Auburn fan, you go 8-4. I think you take that and you run and you'd be excited about it.
No Texas, no Texas A&M, no Oklahoma, no Missouri, no Kentucky. So yeah, there's some opportunity there. I agree with you. And to me, I looked at this schedule a good bit before I had you on, and everything I looked at told me that the Florida game is going, and I hate to use make or break. That's not what I mean, but I do think that's the difference in 9-3 and possibly 7-5 winning that game. Because I think there's some opportunity there, because there's one team we never even talked about. And before we get out of here today, Auburn had a chance against Alabama and fell by the wayside. Had Auburn won that game, Ole Miss would have went to the SEC championship game for the first time in program history. So, I mean, talk about Ole Miss fans yelling for Hugh Freeze. That was it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, nobody's really talking about Alabama. Where is things right now in the state? Because Kalen DeBoer, I'm not saying that he's got one foot out the door, but he's not getting any welcome packages from any of the fan base right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, unfortunately, Auburn's been so bad that they really haven't. It's like they're just worried about trying to get their own program back in a good spot. But there's just I don't know. There's just something's off with Kalen DeBoer in Alabama. Like the vibe from fans is just, and maybe it didn't matter who it was post Saban. Maybe it didn't matter. Like anybody after Nick Saban.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And Alabama fans were just gonna feel like, is it still the Nick Saban program? It's not. He's not Saban. I don't know who it could have been, but DeBoer's I think been more intriguing than others. It just seems like a disconnect between Kalen DeBoer and what their fans want and expect and think they're going to get. There's just something sort of missing. Like DeBoer's not Saban, and they're like just personality. They're just different. And Alabama fans have been so used to Saban for so long that you're not going to get another one of those guys. But DeBoer's very different. And so look, if he figures it out this year and they go 10-2 and they're back in the playoff, whatever. But there's just it's almost like a ticking clock. It almost feels like from their fans, they almost feel like they know he's maybe not the guy. Not bad. They might be good, but there's just there's something there. Like they're thinking about who they're going to get after he leaves. It's a weird vibe. Not like they're going to fire him if they go 9-3, but it's almost just like, yeah, he's pretty good, but something's just not connecting with him, with the fans and him. It just doesn't quite seem right. It's like Harsin and Auburn. You're like, something's off here. Just doesn't quite feel like it's the hire that it should have been.
With the exception of the 22 season, the Iron Bowl has been very competitive, one or two touchdowns, and Alabama has had the best of Auburn during that span. How important, and this is a very much a rhetorical question, I know it's important, but how much pressure is on Alex Golesh to kind of turn that Iron Bowl sway right now? Because right now it's absolutely in Alabama's favor.
Oh, I mean, huge. I mean, nobody's going to expect it this year. You go to two Georgia, 2 Bama. So barring Auburn being way better than we thought they'd be, or Alabama looking really bad, nobody's going to expect it this year, but they're going to expect it like next year. Like year 2, they're going to be like, okay, beat one of them. I mean, it's just it's been bad. I mean, the last win for Auburn against Bama was 19, and the last one for Georgia was 17. So it's been a minute. It's been a minute since you've won either one of those. So yeah, you got to flip that. I mean, it was one of the thing with Malzahn, right? Like he would upset Bama, but he lost to Georgia, and he would lose to LSU, and you just can't do that stuff. Now the LSU rivalry is not what it used to be since Auburn doesn't play them all the time. But yeah, you got to flip it at some point, and they've been super close. I mean, they had Georgia on the ropes twice at home. The last 2 times Georgia's come here, Auburn's had an opportunity. Same thing with Bama. Like they've been right there, and so you got to flip that next year. I mean, I know it's year 2, might be unfair, but they're just It's part of it. I mean, Golish is just going to have to deal with a little bit. He's just going to have some impatient fans because of what they went through with Harsin and Freeze. They just are like, they're going to be realistic with him, but they're just ready to get over the hump. And so like, they're not going to give Golish like, hey man, 3 years, let's check in after 3 years, see where we're at. Like, it's not going to fly. And you can't do that in this age anyway, with like NIL and the portal. Like you can't have Auburn. This can't not work with Golish. Like, they've had 2 bad coaches. This can't also be 2.5 years down the road and you fire him, or 3 years down the road, because you're going to have fans and donors some serious fatigue if that happens. You're going to have people go, all right, I'm out. 3 coaches, you want more money from me, I'm out. Like, I can't do it anymore. So it's got to work. And there's going to be some pressure probably on him next year to win one of those 2 games.
October the 24th is LSU coming to Auburn and Jordan-Hare. The week after that, October 31st, on Halloween at Ole Miss. So I'd love to get your thoughts. Final question here for you, Justin. What was everybody's thought process whenever Ole Miss was making their run and Lane Kiffin was flirting with LSU, would eventually go, and then Ole Miss is hanging out there without a coach for a minute, and they're trying to get ready for the playoff prior to the Egg Bowl, and it just – or after the Egg Bowl, it was just craziness. Now Auburn's right in the middle of it. They've got LSU and Lane Kiffin, and the next week they've got Ole Miss and Pete Golding. What was everybody's thoughts down at Auburn while this was going on?
Not a lot of love for Lane, obviously, just because at the time he was constantly poking. He would poke at Hugh Freeze all the time publicly and all that. And so people would just defend Freeze or just defend the program. And so, not a lot of love for Lane at all. And so that which, I don't know, outside of the team Lane is coaching, who does have love for Lane? Like, is there anybody other than the team he's coaching that's like, I like Lane Kiffin? No, everybody thinks what they think about him. So that'll be a big one at home. I mean, assuming that's why Auburn needs to get by Florida, because they could go, Tennessee and Georgia, and you need some kind of momentum going into LSU Ole Miss, because I really do think they can be in both those games. And it'd be a shame if you had already lost to Florida, Tennessee, Georgia. It's just 3 losses, but you'd only have the Vanderbilt win. There'd be a lot of pressure. I think if they were 2-2 in the league going into LSU, there'd be, that's a much better place to be, I think, going into those 2 games. Because LSU at home, Ole Miss on the road, I think they'll have a chance in those games. It's just making enough plays. But yeah, they'll be fired up for Lane. They'll be fired up for LSU. And then Ole Miss will be interesting. I don't think Auburn fans have any real feelings on Pete Golding. I think a lot of how they felt about Ole Miss would have been how they felt about Lane. Mm-hmm. And so Lane's gone. And so I don't think there's, I haven't seen Golish and Golding necessarily button heads on the recruiting trail yet. So I don't, there's nothing really there in terms of just a normal wanting to beat your conference rival. I think there's a lot more, obviously, animosity and some stuff built up just around Lane probably. And that was an interesting thing because, Summerall is a guy that was being hit around about, could he go to Ole Miss? Mm-hmm. And so there was definitely a lot of attention being paid to what Ole Miss was going to do. And did Summerall want to end up at Ole Miss and Florida and Auburn and all that stuff? It kind of all is weird how it all kind of intertwined. But yeah, 2 big games I think Auburn will have a chance in. They'll be a lot more fired up for that LSU game at home, I would think. If you lose that, if Auburn's sitting there, if they don't beat Florida and you lose to Tennessee, Georgia, you lose to Tennessee, Georgia, LSU, a lot of pressure on Ole Miss. Yeah. If you already have four conference losses and you're trying to go into Oxford, a lot of pressure on that one.
Everybody is just absolutely barreling up for the start of college football season, September the 5th. It's Baylor and Auburn kicking off in Atlanta, and then I'll be tuned in to that Auburn and Florida game. I think that's going to make or break maybe either one of their schedules. Justin Hockanson from auburnsports.com, an affiliate of On3, kind enough to give us a few minutes today. Justin, thanks very much. We'll see you in Oxford in a couple of months, and appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Man, that was good stuff. Hey, everybody, it's Ben. I'm here. I'm a little late, but I'm here. It's been a day. Brad, where in the world is Brad Logan today? What is my background today?
I've got a really big hint. I'm in North Mississippi.
That's not a big hint at all. Are you in New Albany?
I'm not in New Albany, Ben. I'm sorry. If I were in New Albany, I would be at Georgia's.
Yeah, get you a chicken, get you some Georgia's chicken, or really get you a cheeseburger and get you a strawberry biscuit. Either way, it can't go wrong. Here's my question about Auburn. Uh, it sounds like Alex Golesh listening to Justin. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If he goes 8-4 and exceeds expectations, then the expectation raises to typical Auburn standards, which is like, okay, we went 8-4 last year. Now it's time for takeoff. Go and go and beat Alabama and snap the Iron Bowl streak or whatever have you. Like Alex Golesh is in an unenviable position. And another thing that stuck out to me too is Justin brought up John Sumrall and how John Sumrall could potentially have gone to Ole Miss, and that's where Auburn fans were paying attention. Remember, a lot of Auburn fans were calling Ole Miss people stupid because John Sumrall was being floated as a candidate at Ole Miss and how he was a shoo-in essentially to take over at Auburn, and that didn't happen. So Auburn's in this weird place, Brad. It really is, to where Auburn has always had an inflated sense of itself. And, like, if you really put it into context like Justin did, 2 coaches that didn't work out, you're on your third. If they don't win and win quickly, but then if he does win enough, like he's still not going to win enough, Auburn's an impossible place, I guess you could say, to try to win. But hey, Alex Golesh, best of luck. Go get them.
Yeah, their schedule's tough, and I appreciate Justin jumping on. I didn't ask him about 2022 because that was a very significant season for Ole Miss, because if you remember, Ole Miss fell apart in the latter part of the year, got destroyed at Arkansas, lost at Mississippi State the last time Mississippi State won the Egg Bowl. So that's when, of course, Lane was flirting with Auburn. And so, but like I said, didn't get into that. I wanted to more talk about what he was anticipating from Alex Golesh. I'm excited to see Auburn because they've got the new quarterback. That's something that Hugh never could get right at Auburn. Mm-hmm. He got everything else right, but he just couldn't get the quarterback play right. And that's kind of what sealed his fate there on the Plains. But everybody that I've talked to, many people in the American Conference and the Sun Belt, and I've asked about Alex Golesh, everybody's just kind of smiled and said, man, he is a football coach. He is someone that kind of an old school and has remnants of a Pat Dye. And, I asked Justin about that because I've talked about Auburn kind of getting back to running the football, playing good defense, and that's kind of what Auburn likes to kind of hang their hat on. So almost to get their opportunity to face the Tigers later on in the year. We've got previews for Vanderbilt coming this week. Also previews with Oklahoma. And then we'll have Florida next week. And then efforting Tim Brando to talk. I want to talk to Tim about someone that I really enjoyed, has since passed away. That's Joe Dean Jr. And I want to talk to Tim about that, kind of get his thoughts about the Big Ten. He's got a lot of Big Ten games this year on Fox and FS1. So we'll talk to Tim hopefully on Friday. That's what I'm efforting Tim on Friday. And then, Ben, I'll talk to you. I'd like to get Chuck on here again to kind of talk about a lot of things going on in the Ole Miss Spirit. You can talk about that just for a moment. That QR code right above your head, you can get everything you need at the Ole Miss Spirit. But Chuck has been very, very vocal on the Ole Miss Spirit about a couple of things.
We've been telling you about this promotion that we're running for new members. It's been going on for a little over a week. It's for 75% off, and it was supposed to end yesterday, and we got it extended. It's extended. So because y'all have been responding really well, we're like, yeah, why would you stop this? People seem to be responding to it. So as long as y'all keep responding, I don't know how long it's going to go, but it's still going when it was supposed to end yesterday. Please join us at the Ole Miss Spirit. It's omspirit.com. You can get a full year for $30, which comes out to $249 a month. And it's been extended because y'all are awesome. And we would love for y'all to keep responding in kind, because the best way to help Brad and I continue to make Talk of Champions what we hope it's to be, and which is the one-stop shop for any and all Ole Miss fans all the time, taking you into every place, every interview, every area we can that you otherwise wouldn't get to. I'll be on the sidelines all year in football, for example. Like, y'all will see me down there. I'm going to shoot our own stuff for the podcast, photos and video. I'll be down there. So when you see this red hair and probably this hoodie, seemingly 9 out of 11 weekends or how many weekends it is, I've got to do better about wearing different stuff. You laugh, Brett, but it's because it's true. So say hello, and I'll tell you there, like I will tell you now, sign up right now for as long as this deal is going, because it is a heck of a deal. I will say this, like, one thing, if I had to make one prediction for Auburn, I think Auburn's going to get Tennessee, and I think they'll win at least one of Florida, LSU, or Ole Miss. I don't think they're beating Ole Miss. If Ole Miss loses to Auburn, it's got bigger problems. Not because I don't think Auburn is going to be a tough game. I do. I'm just saying Ole Miss is a better team. And I know you started off the show talking about the AP Top 25, which was released today. I would love to weigh in on that if you're ready to sit down for a second and settle in.
In fact, there are some polls, and I'm going to absolutely destroy them online on social media. One particular pollster did not even have Ole Miss ranked.
Who?
He'll lock his account. He's going to lock his account by the end of the day.
Who?
One moment.
You do that because, okay, you effort that. I'm looking at the top 25. Honestly, 9th was about where I thought they would be put. If this were all fair and even and it was just about ranking the best teams in the preseason, Ole Miss should be ranked ahead of Oregon, bounced before it in the college football playoffs. Dante Moore, not impressive in the college football playoff. Dan Lanning, good as he is, and I think everybody would love him to be their head coach. If Alabama could trade Kalen DeBoer for Dan Lanning, they would. Here's the hard reality. Kalen DeBoer is more accomplished than Dan Lanning. What has Dan Lanning won? Nothing. It's all projection. So being number 2 because of what they return, and maybe it's still projection. Preseason is supposed to be weighted all evenly, including what you're bringing back. Ole Miss brings back more, including a starting quarterback that Kirk Herbstreit, anybody that you value in this business who analyze these things on a national level, and is not alone saying that Trinidad Chambliss is the face of college football, yet he's 9th. I have an issue with Texas A&M at 8 above them. Their 11 wins last year have never looked more empty than when they got bounced in the first round of the playoffs and looked pretty pathetic doing so. I believe in Marcel Reed and think Texas A&M is going to be a good team. But this criteria for the preseason is supposed to weigh all of these things evenly. So obviously Ole Miss should be ahead of A&M. You could argue that Ole Miss should be ahead of Miami. But if you want to say, well, Miami's the team that beat Ole Miss, fine. They're still too low at 7 then. And I'm sorry, like you did lose Carson Beck. Malachi Tony's probably one of the most, if not the most explosive playmaker in college football returning. But the argument then is that move Miami up. Like Notre Dame has no business being 4th. Notre Dame at 4 is just purely Notre Dame, just the constant every year, annual, regular blowing up Notre Dame for nothing they have earned themselves outside of just being Notre Dame. It's
their schedule is awful. Their schedule is absolutely awful. They play Miami and SMU.
And they haven't and they didn't win anything last year. And you're like, well, CJ Carr is the best returning quarterback in football. No, you just said Trinidad Chambliss was. Now, if you want to talk about projectability, CJ Carr, everybody's on CJ Carr's nutsack right now, but give me a break. Yeah, then you go to Texas. All right, what has Texas won? They missed the playoffs. Yeah, but look what they did in the portal. Hollywood Smothers, great piece for the portal, but he hasn't done it at Texas. Cam Coleman, love him. He's going to be a baller. He's got Arch throwing to him. I've seen a lot of those videos this all season where who's the one throwing these dazzling catches by Cam Coleman? And a lot of them, he's going back here or over here against air. And I'm like, who is throwing these passes? If it's Arch, your projected number 1 pick for the 2027 draft based solely on his name and not what he's done, even though he got better toward the end of the year. If that is the case, they still shouldn't be ranked ahead of Trinidad Chambliss, Kejuan Lacey, returning 21 starters when you combine transfers behind, like 4 spots behind them. It's one thing if they were like 6th and Ole Miss was 7th. So already Ohio State at 1, fine. Oregon at 2, no way. Georgia at 3. What is your argument for Georgia? Well, it's Georgia. I'm trying to avoid that, though. I'm trying to avoid that completely and just try to go by the merits. And when you go by the merits, it doesn't wash. It stinks. It doesn't make any sense. So I want to simply say, have you figured out who the guy is that left him out completely?
I have, yes.
Okay, who is it?
The young man's name is Pat Wilter.
Pat Wilter. Pat.
WLTER. He is on social media, and I expect his account will be locked within the next couple of hours because Reddit College Football is eventually going to release that. And when they do,
this guy,
Pat Welter,
Pat.
That's him. Young Pat's going to probably have a locked account because he is going to be absolutely blown up. So does Pat have Ole Miss in his top 5? What about the top 10? Ole Miss is ranked 9th. No, he's not in the top 10. What about the top 15? Does Mr. Pat Welter have Ole Miss in the top 15? No, they're not there either. Didn't make the top 15. What about the top 20, Pat? Is Ole Miss a top 20 team? Well, according to Pat Welter, Ole Miss is not. They've got to be in the top 25, right? Because that's where BYU and Missouri and Tennessee and Texas A&M. Mr. Pat Welter does not have Ole Miss in the top 25. This is the only reason that Pat Welter could not have Ole Miss in the top 25 of the preseason ranking. The only one is that he forgot to put them in there.
He forgot, or
he just forgot.
He's
Sorry, guys.
Like he's a sports reporter for at WRAL, which is an NBC affiliate in North Carolina. Yeah. Covers the ACC.
Just forgot, man. I forgot.
Either you forgot or you're really,
the best
really
returning
dumb.
College football quarterback. Just forgot about him. And, oh, by the way, I also forgot about the Sugar Bowl and forgot about that. Also forgot that Lane Kiffin, one of the most – rewind. The most polarizing coach in college football that was at Ole Miss is now at the biggest rival in LSU. Just forgot that. Pat, yeah. He just forgot that Kejuan Lacey is the best returning running back in college football. I just forgot about Ole Miss.
There's Pat.
Sorry,
There
Pat.
he is. He's got 4,000 followers on Twitter.
What are we doing?
I tell you what we're doing. We're doing a show based off of the opinions of Pat Welter and other guys who, honestly,
that's exactly.
I would love to know why they get to vote. I've never been asked to vote.
Here are a couple of other names and numbers, Ben. John Wilner. John has Ole Miss number 17 in his poll. Stephen Means. Stephen has Ole Miss at number 11.
Wait, who had Ole Miss number 17? What was his name?
John Wilner. Reese Davis, who we all know is the host of College Game Day, had Ole Miss number 8.
Fine.
Reese Davis, number 8.
Fine. Notorious. Reese can pretend like he's biased, not like unbiased, and he's never liked Ole Miss.
Wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. ShamWow. Nicole Auerbach. Nicole is esteemed columnist and journalist that has got a footprint in the Big Ten. Nicole has Ole Miss at number 18 in the AP College preseason poll. You go get them, Nicole. Ralph Russo, formerly of the Associated Press. Ralph Russo, esteemed columnist and journalist, number 13. Thanks, Ralph. Number 13. My favorite's Nicole at 18, though, and John Wilner at 17. After what
my
advice, last year, advice at least they're ranked. At least Nicole has them ranked. Pat Welter doesn't have Ole Miss in the top 25.
I think we need here. It's kind of like Alex Golesh at Auburn. You're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't. I want to effort and get all of these people on and get them to explain themselves. But then I'm like, I don't want to legitimize something that doesn't even matter anymore. We shouldn't even be giving it the time of day anymore. It doesn't impact anything. It doesn't impact. Oh, the only thing it does is maybe they use it as a negotiating tool when they go into the bargaining table with their schools and hey, I was preseason, blah, 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 blah. But this doesn't factor into rankings. It doesn't factor into the college football playoff. But biases do. As long as humans are involved, golly, I never thought I would see the day where a lot of us are going, you know what? The BCS system, while flawed, still was fairer and more down the middle, calling balls and strikes down the middle than whatever this is. The AP's always been like this, but we shouldn't weight these people's opinions over others. They don't matter, but we do. Nicole Auerbach is someone that talks to the committee members who decide these things. So if she's saying they're 18th, imagine what she's saying when they're all hanging around a bar in Indianapolis for Final Four weekend, and Lane's just said something on Twitter, and they're like, hey, what do you think about Ole Miss? Oh, they're not going to win without Lane. Well, they returned the best starting quarterback in the SEC, if not the country, in Trinidad Chambliss. They returned inarguably one of, if not the best running back in college football. They returned all three of their starters in the interior of the offensive line of one of the most prolific offenses in college football last year. Yeah, but they're replacing their offensive coordinator, true, with a passing game coordinator formerly under Lane and John David Baker, who runs a similar offense except with his own spin on it at East Carolina, where by himself, yeah, it didn't set the world on fire, but it is East Carolina. Look at the numbers they did put up, especially in comparison to other guys who went off from the Lane tree and tried to do it on like who y'all praise constantly. And when he went to South Florida to call his own offense, he was in the 30s. He did nothing. See, you're poking holes in the, but I don't think the point, like poking holes in the argument isn't the point. The point is to be intentionally divisive. Because if you were ranking them based solely on a set criteria that we all agreed upon, Ole Miss would be ranked no lower than 6th. No lower than 6th.
Someone would ask him about friend of the program, Michael Katz. Michael has Ole Miss very fairly at number 7. So very fair.
Fine.
And once again, I want to go back to let's take, for example, John Wilner. I'm not picking on John, but he's at they've got Ole Miss number 17. So if you're John Wilner, who do you believe that is better than Ole Miss? And I'm pulling up his answers right here.
I can't find him on Twitter. I want to see this cat.
I don't think he has a Twitter account. Okay.
Man, here's the bottom line.
Yeah, SMU, Michigan, Texas A&M, Washington, Alabama, USC, Oklahoma, Indiana, LSU at number 6. 6. So, yeah, that's where we're at. I do value, and I know everybody's pushing back about Nicole Auerbach. That's the one that shocked me because she
she's bad with the takes.
Well, she has the ear of the committee. She knows college football really well. I just don't understand why you do that. I don't think Ole Miss should be that low. But once again, it won't matter, midway through the year anyway. But I do think it matters that, the perception that some of these people have is just mind-boggling to me.
You know what? You've arrived, Ole Miss fan. You've arrived at the place that you always hope to arrive at. Even with last year when you're constantly knocking down barriers that were put up in front of you, and people said, no, you can't go that far. And he kept doing it. And you got one play away. And with the way DeJon Stribling's balling out in the preseason, man, and watching that replay and revisiting that replay of the last play, that wasn't a Hail Mary. That was a design pass, and Strib had a step, and he got interfered. The O'Connor kid, Eric O'Connor, I think was his name, from Miami, freshman cornerback, now a sophomore. He arrived early. The film don't lie. The tape don't lie. It was undeniable. So, like I say, Ole Miss fan, you have arrived. Make it undeniable. You have arrived at the door, and everyone say, no, but you can't come into this last one though. You can't do that. You can't open it. No, because Indiana, it kicked down the door with 15-0, made it undeniable. I'm not saying Ole Miss is going 15-0, but you want to make it undeniable, do Indiana out of the SEC, and that's going to be impossible. But just get into the playoff first. The goal is 1-0, play Louisville, beat Louisville. Louisville's a quality team, a 9-game winner last year. They have aspirations of being a playoff caliber team as well. I think they have true question marks outside of just running back Isaac Brown. They don't know who their quarterback is. Meanwhile, Ole Miss knows exactly who his quarterback is. It knows, even without Prince Willie Monmielen rushing the passer, who its pass rushers are. So let them all stand at the gate and say you're not welcome in, and then kick it down. It's the glass ceiling that you've always been trying to break through. Clemson did it in the 2010s-ish, and they've never, and still to this day, they're given deference as, it's Clemson. Well, it's Clemson used to not be a thing until Clemson made it undeniable. But they punched through the glass ceiling. Indiana, most recently. Ole Miss, even when you set a program record for 13 wins, you've returned the best quarterback in the country and arguably the best running back, if not number 2 in the country, in Kejuan Lacey, both of which are 2 of 5 preseason All-Americans. Show me then John Wellner, is what you said, who had Ole Miss 17th. Find me any of those top 16 that have 5 preseason All-Americans on them that you ranked outside of the top 10. I would love to see it. That just shows me that biases, longtime biases, they die hard. The only way you can do it, Ole Miss, and you've arrived there, you have to kick the dang door down. You've gotten to the door, though. You're there. So now here's the moment you've been waiting for. Well, if Ole Miss can just break through the glass ceiling, then they'll get there. What is the glass ceiling? Win a title. Win a title. Don't go to Atlanta. I don't care if you go to Atlanta or not. Get into the playoffs by any means necessary. And once you do, kick it down. Kick down the door. Take down whoever's in it. Maybe, hopefully you get a bye. But even then, you don't want to bye. We learned that last year, didn't we? We learned that since the creation of the freaking playoff. You don't want to bye. Because, like, all the bye teams get beat. So what do
you want that home playoff game?
Yeah. So if you get in, you got to play that first home playoff game. So be it. Bring Tulane this year. Bring SMU here. The Fighting Billion Bodies. Bring them in here. You know what I mean? What? That's this school. This is school. What? It'll be a reunion. I'm just saying. It'll be a reunion. It's been the Ole Miss. This has been Talk of Champions in conjunction with the Ole Miss Spirit. OleMissSpirit.com. OleMissSpirit.com. The 75% off deal has been extended because y'all have responded so incredibly. They extended it. So keep going, man. Join us. The Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com. Right now, I don't know how long it'll last. I'm being honest. Tomorrow we get our most recent or our latest media availability, which is only really an interview with Brian Brown. B. Brown's awesome.
No
Corn
practice.
Legend. No practice. No practice until Friday. But we don't stop here on Talk of Champions. He's Sawyer Wheatley. He will be putting together some merchandise for us for Talk of Champions. We've been talking about it for months on end. We'll have some announcements for y'all, as well as many other things. We'll be in Nashville for pregame show for the Ole Miss Louisville game. Anything on basketball portal players. Last time I talked to Zach at the end of last week. Thinks the Villanova Ole Miss is one of a final three for the Villanova transfer. The Florida transfer probably is not going to happen. Mojave King, I don't think that's happening. Last I heard, that don't sound like it's happening. So we'll wait and see. But back tomorrow at 2. Who's the preview for tomorrow?
We got Oklahoma with George Storia, Oklahoma.
Listen, where was Oklahoma? I did appreciate that at least in the AP poll, Oklahoma was 10th and Ole Miss was 9th. At least there was some deference somewhere that allowed Ole Miss. If Ole Miss would have been ranked behind not only Texas A&M but Oklahoma, my gosh, what are we doing? Let's stop worrying about what the Pat Welburns or whoever they are. It doesn't matter. What only matters is kicking the dang door down. As many in the chat have said, spot the ball. We'll see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Time. Bye, Brad.
Bye-bye, everybody.